On a cold, bitter winter afternoon in Manhattan, 72-year-old Maddie Parker slowly made her way through the crowded streets. The noise of the city and the freezing air were almost too much for her to bear. Her once strong, nimble legs had grown frail with age, and every step she took seemed to weigh heavier than the last. The pain in her knees and ankles made her movements labored, but she pressed on, determined to reach a warm place where she could catch her breath. Her legs ached with every step, and as the crowds hurried around her, she felt a sense of isolation, as if she were invisible. The hustle of the busy city was deafening, and she longed for a few moments of peace. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, she spotted a café nestled between two tall buildings. The sight of it was like a beacon in the storm, and without hesitation, Maddie made her way toward the entrance. The warmth inside the café was a welcome relief. The cozy atmosphere and the scent of freshly brewed coffee immediately put her at ease. She approached the counter slowly, each movement deliberate and careful. Despite the pain, there was a sense of peace in the air here, one that Maddie had been craving for hours. After a few moments of waiting in line, she ordered a hot drink, and then, feeling a deep sense of relief, she made her way to a seat by the window. Maddie sighed as she sank into the chair. The large windows framed the chaotic scene outside, but inside, she could momentarily forget the troubles of the world. She took out her wallet and, with trembling hands, ordered a simple cup of tea. She wasn't looking for anything special, just a place to sit, to rest, to gather her thoughts before continuing on her way. As the warmth of the café enveloped her, she felt her muscles begin to relax. But her peace was short-lived. Moments later, James Whitaker, the owner of the café, approached her table. His eyes were cold and sharp, as though he had been waiting for her to make a mistake. When he reached her, he stood over her with an air of superiority, his posture stiff, his face etched with disdain. "What do you think you're doing here?" he asked, his voice dripping with condescension. "A place like this is for professionals. Not for people like you." Maddie, caught off guard by his tone, simply blinked and tried to understand what was happening. She had been to many cafés before, had enjoyed many peaceful moments just like this one. She had never been treated with such disdain, especially not by someone who was supposed to offer hospitality. She tried to keep her voice steady as she spoke, her eyes meeting his, though her heart pounded in her chest. "I'm just having a drink," she replied quietly. "I don't mean any trouble." But Whitaker wasn't satisfied. His face twisted with a cruel smile as he leaned in closer. "You're wasting our time. People like you don't belong in places like this. You're not one of us." His words were meant to sting, and they did. Maddie's heart sank as she realized the depth of the judgment being passed on her, not for anything she had done, but simply because of who she was, old, frail, and out of place in his eyes. Maddie fought the tears threatening to well up in her eyes, but she held them back. She had been through far worse in her life, and she wasn't going to let this man break her spirit. "I have every right to be here," she said firmly, despite the tremor in her voice. But Whitaker wasn't finished. He leaned even closer now, his voice low and threatening. "People like you don't belong in a place like this," he repeated. "You should go. You're just a burden." The words hit Maddie like a slap in the face. She had endured many hardships in her life, grief, loss, struggles, but nothing had prepared her for the humiliation she felt now. She began to stand, each movement slow and deliberate, her heart heavy in her chest. As she made her way toward the door, Whitaker's voice followed her, louder now, crueler. "Get out of here. You don't belong here with the rest of us." Just as Maddie was about to step out of the café, the door swung open. A figure entered, causing a ripple of attention through the room. Mike Tyson. The famous boxer, once feared in the ring, now stood in the café, his presence commanding the attention of everyone in the room. Tyson scanned the café with a casual glance, but his gaze landed on Maddie. He noticed her sad, defeated expression and the harsh words that had been thrown her way. He paused, his eyes narrowing as he turned toward Whitaker, who had begun to walk away from Maddie, his back still turned. Tyson, sensing the injustice, stepped forward. His voice boomed, filling the room. What's going on here? Why are you treating this woman like this? His tone was firm, every word packed with authority. People in the cafe turned to watch, sensing the tension in the air. Whitaker, caught off guard, straightened up, his face flushing red. She doesn't belong here, he muttered defensively. This is a place for professionals. Not for someone like her. Tyson's eyes flashed with anger. I don't care what you think this place is, he said, his voice low but intense. No one deserves to be treated like that, especially not her. He gestured toward Maddie. This woman is here like anyone else. She's not hurting anyone. You don't get to talk to her like that. The room was silent. Whitaker stammered, trying to find a way out, but there was no way to undo the damage. Tyson, without saying another word, moved toward Maddie. He reached out and gently took her arm, guiding her away from the table. Come on, he said softly. I'm taking you somewhere better than this. His voice was warm, full of kindness and respect. Maddie, still in shock, looked at him with wide eyes. Why are you helping me? She asked, her voice trembling with a mix of gratitude and disbelief. Tyson smiled, his eyes softening. Because everyone deserves respect, he said, his voice firm but kind. No one should be treated like that, no matter who they are. He turned and led her out of the cafe, his presence like a shield against the harsh world. Whitaker, realizing that he had no power in this situation, simply watched in stunned silence as the two left. As they stepped out into the cold Manhattan streets, Tyson turned to Maddie and offered her a warm smile. You're going to be fine, he said. I'm going to take you somewhere warm and make sure you're okay. Tyson guided Maddie to a nearby restaurant, where she could sit and relax in peace. As they entered, the hostess greeted them warmly, and Tyson nodded in approval. Get her whatever she needs, he said with a friendly smile. She's a friend. Maddie, now seated comfortably with a warm cup of tea in her hands, looked up at Tyson. I can't believe you did that for me, she said, her voice full of wonder. Why did you help me? Tyson leaned back in his chair and smiled. Because no one should ever feel like they're less than anyone else. We all have our place in this world, and no one should ever be made to feel like they don't matter. He paused, looking thoughtful for a moment. I know what it's like to be judged and treated badly. It's not right. Maddie, moved by his words, nodded slowly. You're right, she said quietly. It's easy to forget that we all deserve kindness, no matter what. From that day forward, Maddie's life changed. She had seen firsthand the power of kindness, the power of standing up for what's right. Tyson's act of compassion had left an indelible mark on her heart, and she vowed to pay it forward. Maddie became an advocate for kindness and respect, spending her time helping others in need, especially those who had been overlooked or mistreated. She knew now that everyone deserved respect, no matter their age, appearance, or circumstances. Maddie's story quickly spread, becoming a beacon of hope for others who felt invisible or neglected. People around the world were inspired by Tyson's simple yet powerful act of kindness, and Maddie's experience became a symbol of the importance of standing up for others, no matter the odds. As she grew older, Maddie continued to share her story, reminding others that kindness could change the world, one small act at a time. And whenever she told her story, she would always end with a smile, saying, sometimes, the most unexpected heroes come when we least expect it. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more stories.